Hello, my name is Macy Agler and I am a senior in art education, and I'm going to be giving you guys a TED Talk today titled Awakening Your Students' Awareness to Multicultural Diversity. Multiculturalism is a huge and important topic, and there's many areas that we could focus on, but today I would really love to focus on the cultures of the students themselves as well as the cultures found in the community around them. And I'm going to use Kansas as the influence for my points in this talk, just because that's what I have been a part of. Those are the schools that I've had the most experience in, and I think that the schools within Kansas really need to be pushed to bring students awareness to their own cultures, because you don't necessarily walk into a classroom in small town Kansas and see cultural diversity just because of how the students look or how they dress, but that does not mean that our students aren't a diverse population within themselves, and it is important to realize that, but also to be able to break that down and have steps on how we can be changing our classrooms. So my first point is about the students' culture themselves, and trying to make yourself as a teacher, as an educator, aware of that. And so I think that tolerance.org said it the best, and they stated that culture isn't just a list of holidays or shared recipes, religious traditions, or language. It is a lived experience unique to each individual. And so when we look at it that way, every single student has a different and unique culture just because of how they lived, what's important to them, what their family's like, the type of house they lived in, what they're interested in. Any of that makes them unique. And so no two students are going to be alike, and that is incredible. And so as teachers, we need to allow ourselves to see that in our students, and to take that and use that to our advantage, to allow our students to learn in incredibly unique ways. They are kind of adapted to each student's culture. So that kind of leads directly into my second point, and it's kind of summarized from this article in The Atlantic, and basically, as teachers, we shouldn't be using our own experiences in a biased way to create examples that are not necessarily relatable to the students. Instead, we need to be taking the time to get to know our students so that we can create examples and lessons that are centered around our students' cultures based on their experiences. Make it something that's relatable to them. Take the time to ask your students questions to get to know them. Take a second to recognize differences between your students, what they're interested in, what they talk about, and just adapt what you're teaching and how you teach it, or the examples you use, to these students, and that is going to make the world of a difference. You're going to keep their attention better. You're going to make their learning experience more rich because it is adapted and catered towards them. My third and last point is just an example, more so than anything, of how I am wanting to implement this idea about multicultural diversity within my art classrooms. And so whether this is, I am able to just do this with like an advanced art class or with all of my classes, either way, if I can make this happen, it'd be incredible. So basically, my idea is I want to connect my students within their community in a way that they may have never thought about before. So I would like to partner my class with a group of elderly people through an assisted living or through a nursing home, and allow them to have a buddy. So somebody that they can share experiences with and conversations throughout their semester that they have them. And so with this buddy, they'll maybe do collaborative projects with them. They may create a piece of art that is focused around an interest of their buddy. We may work on doing like a community art project that is stemmed on something that is important to their buddy, or something like that. But their cumulative project would be the students sitting down and basically interviewing their buddy, learning about their buddy's culture. So figuring out what experiences have shaped their these people's lives, what interests them, where their family's from, where they grew up, what type of school did they go to, what is their native language, like anything that makes them unique as an individual. I want my students to kind of learn about, to explore, and then take what they learn and do some more research, dig deeper, and figure out, do some learning that they may have never, may or would have never taken the time to learn, to explore, to research, and then create a work of art that basically encompasses this culture in the best way they see fit. So most ideally, the students would be able to pick their medium or pick the way that they present this, and then be able to present to the rest of their peers and their peers' buddies, and present their culture and why they chose to present it in the way that they did, and basically introduce and tell a life story of their buddy. And I think that would make a huge impact on these students. They would be learning about these cultures from firsthand. They would also be experiencing part of their community that they may have never even opened their eyes to before, just because of where they are at in life. And I think that can completely change the culture of a community completely, and only for the better. So basically, to run through all this again, it is important that we take into consideration and make ourselves aware that each student has an own unique culture, and that as teachers we use those students' cultures as a funnel to create classroom experiences and examples that are relatable to our students, and to actively apply these in our classrooms, create impactful events, projects, and lessons that will change our students' worlds, and allow them to constantly take in new perspectives, and learn about the cultures around them as well as their own. So if you take anything away from this talk, I hope that you would just take away the perspective that there's so much more to culture than what meets the eye, and that every single student of yours is unique, and that their culture is important, and it's important that we allow them to embrace that within our classrooms. Yeah. So continue to love on your kids, continue to try to change the world through each and every student.